Let's go!
If we could address you directly right now.
Everything comes full circle.
That's number one.
I don't tell him what questions to ask me.
There are a lot of people around town that have the same question.
Brush my teeth. I'm gonna get washed in the morning.
I can't confirm or deny.
You know, just keep going a little bit longer here, Mike. You keep going a little bit longer.
All right, and welcome in, everybody. This is a Cuse Sports Talk exclusive post-game presentation with you, Brian Higgins, joining you all after, we all watched it, 88-82. Syracuse goes down to North Carolina, a defense optional game, and Orange just got nowhere near enough stops when it came to push game to shove. The ball game today, Syracuse was kind of down most of the way. It came back, they tied it at 60, immediately fell back down to the big hole, rallied back a few times, but could never quite close it back up. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to hang out here for a little bit today on Cuse Sports Talk. Phone lines are available to you. You guys know that at 315-437-7644. We're going to have the chat up. We're going to have the chat up on both the YouTube and Twitch. We'll be going back and forth with you on that. And we'll get Red's post-game press conference when it becomes available to us live, presented as always by our friends at RomanoCars.com. But off and running here, 315-437-7644. Hey, we know Pat knows the number. Yeah, we know Pat's ready to roll. Let's kick off the show here with our guy Pat. What's up, Pat?
I mean, a lot of good news, right? So you actually had a game worth watching. Actually, you said it best with the defense. Both the defense was optional, but there was one time in the game where I saw the zone, and it looked like the zone from years past. You had McLeod in the middle, you had JJ up top with Taylor, and I could just visualize it. If we had Donnie Freeman on one side and then Jair on the other, I mean, that's a long, big, active zone. I mean, I guess it just amazes me that. Oh,
you there, Pat?
Yeah, we got a commercial running now.
We have a commercial running. How could that be? What, let's see. What do you? Let's figure it all out together. Did that do anything? How's that? What's playing? What would Pat? Let's play the game of what is Pat hearing coming down the line and where?
Nye Auto. It's got to be Nye.
Ah, there it is. Okay, there we are. I found the button, Pat. There we go.
Right.
Okay, you were listening to the Crunch broadcast. I hope you enjoyed it.
I mean, there's definitely people there that would be rooting for that commercial over me, but that's what makes it all fun.
What stinks for them is you were the only one hearing it, Pat. It was not going to anybody else. It was just going. That was personally from me to you. So all right, keep it going. What do we got?
So the way I look at it is late in the game, I counted 4 possessions, starting with a 3 that Carlos gave up the basket.
Yep.
He gave up a 3 opposite the Carolina bench, about the 22-foot mark. He also gave up two dribble drives, one on each side, and then he got smoked on another one, and Jackson missed the layup.
Yeah, totally blew the layup. Yep.
I mean, if you're the coach and you see that, how can you possibly sleep with that decision of leaving him in the game? He did make that and one. That was a gift and one in terms of he heard the whistle. He was starting his upward motion, and he threw it up, and it went in. And give him credit for making the free throw. But at the same time, I mean, when I just look at Carolina gave that game away. They were missing free throws. They had Syracuse got 3 or 4 cracks on offensive rebounds. Carolina hit the ball out of bounds 3 times. I mean, the list goes on and on and on with all the things that Carolina was doing to keep Syracuse within striking distance, and Syracuse just unfortunately isn't good enough to get it done. I felt bad for JJ because oftentimes, you could see the defense collapse on him, and he was kicking it out to a guy who should have been ready to shoot a 3, and nobody there would have wanted him to shoot the 3, whether it was Carlos or Peter or whoever was that guy that was the outlet. It just was bad. and it goes back to what we said pregame, Brian. His rotations are bad. His in-game coaching is horrific. I mean, if you just watch the last 4 minutes of that game and you just watch Carlos like I did, there is no way. There is no explanation. I mean, Brian, tell me what you're seeing out there. Play devil's advocate. How am I wrong with Carlos?
Well, I think the issue is the question, and this is where we've had the problem all year, is that the other answers also have been wrong. Like, it feels like all of the answers to the question have been wrong. Like, they tried taking Carlos out, and they we'll go with Chapa for a while, and he's letting people pass him.
Jair.
Yeah,
Play big with Jair. Go with Taylor and Starling. It's real simple. Taylor, Starling as your guards, and then figure out the forwards and center. I just don't understand. JJ's not hurt. If JJ's in the game, Carlos does not have to be in the game under any circumstances. And then people are going to rip on Cuff because he shot a stupid three and he missed it. But why he was even out of the game for 9/10 of the game, and then Red with his body language. I mean, I hinted on that pregame. I mean, Red, you are putting these players in the position that they're in. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing. It's just a shit show. I mean, I know we're not on the radio, so I can say that it is an absolute embarrassment in terms of you actually played, as the commentator said, you played hard. JJ played great. Lampkin played great. You had your two best players play great, and you were in a position to steal a game, and you basically didn't coach it good enough to get it done by leaving Carlos in the game. And where did Jair go? Jair went 13 minutes without playing. I don't understand Peter getting all the minutes he's getting. He does some nice things, but you need another offensive weapon. You need somebody else. You can't win with two guys. And then there was a point in the game also, Brian, and I'll leave you on this. There was a point in the game where he had JJ not in the game, but your other scorers also weren't in the game that could have been, like Jair, like Cuff, like Moore, whoever it is. They had one scorer in the game, and that's when Carolina went on their run, because they had cut it to 4. It's just tough. But you know what? At least it was a game that, you stuck it in as long as you could. And the season's just about there, Brian.
Yeah, we got 3 weeks left, Pat. We can do this together. We can all make it to the finish line together, this one. It's just, there's no good answers right now. I think it's like Jair. What did Jair play? He played 15 minutes tonight. Mastorovich played 25. I think the main problem. I think the main problem here, Pat, is that there's so many incomplete players on the team that no matter what subs you're making, you're left lacking. Like, it's just, it goes back to what we've talked about all season. It's roster construction, right? The roster's not a good one, and there's almost no way to put together a 5 on the floor that makes sense for more than like 45 seconds in a row. It's wild because you play a couple possessions and something gets out of balance, and it's really tough because at this point, obviously there's nothing you can do about it. But man, like Mastorovich, I think he was making some nice things happen. But you're right. Then when the other team adjusts, JJ kicks it out to him. He's not going to shoot the ball. Maybe in a year or two he will, but he won't this year. But if Jair's in there, he's not going to do the stuff Peter's doing. And, Carlos and Cuff, it's just there's no subs you can make where there's a good answer at the end of the rainbow. I think that's just where we're at this point of the season, because I think we've seen every possible combination at this point.
But is it me, or does Carolina's blue always look nice against our orange? There's just something about that.
It looks fantastic. I give it that. It does. I had to stop myself earlier today because I have a nice sweatshirt that is that color. I'm like, and it's comfy, but I'm like, I can't wear that today. Today's the wrong day for that one. But I get it, man. It's a great color. It's a great color combo. You wish the teams were better, because they coming out of the back end of number 1 versus number 2 today on ESPN with Auburn and Alabama, and it's like, hey, Carolina, Syracuse. Then you're like, wait a minute. It doesn't actually mean anything. It kind of stinks when you put it in that perspective.
I would hate to look up our record on ESPN over the last 4 years because it's bad.
I don't. I could, but I really don't want to, because I'm sure it would be it'd be very depressing, Pat. It would be very depressing.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, man. There is our guy, Pat. And I think that's, and again, this goes back to roster construction. And get on the phones if you'd like, 315-437-7644. We'll get to a Reds postgame presser when it occurs. But, yeah, Carlos was bad on D today. He did have 7 assists. Kyle Koff, who can do some things that Carlos can't, he was 0 for 5. Then Lucas Taylor did have 10 points. He was fine today. What did Chapa do today? Not a lot of Chapa today. Chapa only played 8 minutes, didn't make a shot. It's just like, who do you don't have enough players to come up with the right answer. And I know that's the coach's fault and Red's fault and the whole thing. I get that. But it's the same thing as a month ago. This is not like something new that got screwed up today. It's, I don't know. It's just, then you look at the end, it's like, can anyone play help defense? Anybody? Does anybody want to rotate? Just like one guy. One guy rotating. One guy rotating. Would be nice at some point. Oh, man. And Carolina, man, like, they're not good either. Like, whoo, man, that is not the heels that we've grown up with, huh? My goodness, like, I get they scored 88 points today, but that was not an inspiring effort by North Carolina either. It was just, those two teams that did not play a whole ton of defense today. Did not play. And, sometimes you have high-scoring games like this. You're like, man, these teams are making some shots. What shot makers? And it's like, no, like Syracuse was giving up wide-open threes. Carolina just didn't have anybody that could remotely handle the size of Lampkin. Lampkin was great today. 26 and 11. He did everything he could have today. He was great because Carolina didn't have any size. JJ gets in the early foul trouble, and he gets the 22 points most after halftime. Why would Laker? Why would anyone believe Red would be able to coach good man-to-man next season? I don't know. I mean, the thing that I think we still don't know is how much of that is the scheme and the coaching and how much of that is lack of talent. Obviously, they all land on the head coach, but I think it's important to know which side of it is the issue. Because if the scheme, which clearly could use some improvements, but if the scheme is okay and with better talent and just a little juicing of the scheme, okay, or is the scheme trash and it's hard to tell, right? It's hard to tell. But yeah, the roster's not good. The roster's not good. The defense isn't talent. Well, yes and no. Defense is effort, but you can give as much effort if you want. If you're getting blown past by better athletes, there's some talent to it. Like, it's not zero talent. What do I look at with Red? Here's the thing that confuses me most about this Red situation, and here's where, like, I look at last year, because this year, I look at last year, and I remember seeing things like Red. You could look from November last year to February last year and see him grow as an in-game coach. See him not screw up stuff that were screwed up early in the year that a first-time head coach, would be dealing with. And obviously there was more talent on last year's team with Judah than there is on this year's team. But you could see some schematic things that improved during the course of the year. And then this year, I don't know what I'm looking at schematically, but I don't know why. I don't know if it's because the players aren't doing anything resembling what they're supposed to be doing. Like, I don't know. Yeah, and Reds lineups, I'll say this from the beginning. Reds, I go back literally, and I've said this several times, to the first exhibition game last season, whomever was against, whatever Rando D2 team it was against last year. JJ, that was the game that Judah was out with like a lightly rolled ankle or whatever the hell it was. They kept them out for precautions, just to not be accident. And then JJ played 40 minutes in an exhibition game. Like, that's one where clearly, like, the head coach has gotten lost in the sauce of everything he's got to be doing and has forgotten that thing. That's one where you wish you had the assistant to lean on, right? That would be like, hey, dude, it's an exhibition game. We don't need to play anybody 40 minutes. Like, what's up? So it's stuff like that where you need a clear. No, and hey, Jerry was on the roster or on the team last year as a coach. That's stuff where you need like a clear line of communication and somebody that's got the ear of the head coach and that can tell him. Like Jim Boeheim, and that's where I think it sticks out to us so much because Jim Boeheim didn't really need that. He got it some. Like if you watched it closely, he'd have people come tell him. Like Jim was very good at having people let him know the small bits of information he needed in very small bits. Like with hey, someone who come over quick, that's his third, or things like that. And Jim was so good at processing all of that quickly, and obviously had 8 million games of experience on that. So Red's first time around, and he's not as good at that. He's not as good at that, and hasn't picked up on it as quickly. That's where I don't believe you, Locked and Loaded. You're not going to care about Syracuse basketball next year? You're just not going to care about it? That is a worry, though. Because I think that's what we saw. I go back. Is this G-Rob? And that's like that's the blow it all up comparison that you make. Is this G-Rob? No. But look at how long football went in the tank because of G-Rob. You have to make sure that doesn't happen. Like that's I think it's not that level bad, LARs. You're forgetting how bad that was. You are forgetting how bad that was. This isn't good, but you are forgetting how bad that was. Anyone that's comparing it to that is forgetting how bad that was. And that's not saying this is good. That is saying you are forgetting what rock bottom looks like. G-Rob wrecked the program for 20 years. Like, you too, Kev. But yeah, I'd say that's why next year is so important because it like if it's verging that way, that's when you got to make sure that doesn't happen. No, it's not Kenny Payne. Kenny Payne was clueless. Clueless. Kenny Payne had no idea what was going on. It's not that. It's not good, but it's not as bad as some of the examples that are tossed as bad. Now, the question is, when do you make a change? Do you wait for it to be that bad or not? It's not G-Rob. It's not Kenny Payne. It's not that bad. But you do need to have, and people ask, what do you think, how do you know that, Cuse Sports Knower, that Alan Griffin's coaching is worse than Kenny Payne's? How do you know what the assistant is? Yeah, it's not. Yeah, the hope is right. This is not rock bottom, but the hope is this is the bottom. And if it's not, then you could make a change. And also, Griff cracks me up on a weekly basis. So personally, I'm swayed by that. Like, what did the other two guys do? I don't know. I don't know those two guys as humans as I do Griff. So that's also the different thing. You missed the Lampkin 44 talk. The Jaquan defense is wild because he was like all league last year. I get it was a different league, but man, it's confusing. It's confusing how you can be all league in one league and be just like that. Man, we'll get the Red post-game press conference as soon as it starts here live. What was I saying? Somebody was asking me whoever asked, what is Red's best quality as a head coach? I mean, you can see this with the high school recruiting. I think Red's actually doing a decent job, like, relating to these guys, I think. Because this hasn't been a team that's quit when, realistically, look at the year. It kind of should be. Like, teams in this situation do quit. Well, we knew the assistant. Here's the reason we knew the assistants under Jim, Lock and Load, because they were all alums, so we cared to know them. That's why. Like, it was the reason wasn't Jim. The reason was because we knew the alum. They were all alums. So it was Jerry and Hopkins and Griff and Red. So we were like, hey, we know these guys. We care to know these guys. Like, and you guys want to hear from them, so we put them on the radio. Like, that's how that all works. Like, Dan Engelstad is like, hey, that's a human. Who's this guy? We don't know this guy. It would be nice to hear from them occasionally, but it's not something you're going to put on the radio once a week. But yeah, I don't know. They're going to have to do something, though. They're going to have to do something, though. It's not ideal. None of this is good. None of this is good. Yeah, to Ryan's point, you can recruit all you want these days, and it doesn't necessarily matter. did Paulie make a face? That Eddie pass was wild. All right, Red's at the podium. Let's get his press conference here, brought to you by RomanoCars.com.
That were big. But, I give my guys credit. They battled. We were down and came back and made it a game. And we just got to, clean up some stuff, keep working hard, and move forward and just keep working and really trying to continue to develop and do things that we need to do to win. Again, rebounding, I thought today, rebounding, especially late, was the difference. They got a couple of extra possessions and then a couple of things late. With the, when you're down, I forgot how many we were down, but we typically, we talk about driving the ball until we have to shoot a three. I think we got a steal and Kyle shot a three, and not singling him out. But those are the type of things that you got to do what you're told and what we're coaching. And at that point, you want to put pressure on the rim. But that's just one thing. But again, these guys battled. There's no more victories here. They're disappointed. I'm very disappointed. I think everyone is disappointed. But we just have to. Get ready tomorrow, practice, get prepared, and get ready for the next game, and, try to clean the things up that we need to clean up.
How well do you think you in 10 minutes in the first half? When he wasn't, do you think he played any differently with the
No, I thought JJ was, we had to take him out. He got early foul trouble. I thought that, the team did a good job of kind of keeping it close. And I thought when he got back in, he was, he was still in the flow of things. But that was the first time we had to play that longer stretch with foul trouble without him. And I thought the guys, for the most part, handled it pretty well. I thought we responded pretty well.
Coach, the zone had mixed results tonight. What did you like about it?
Well, I thought we got the stops. I think those are for sure those are the rebounds that we did not come up with in the zone at times. Obviously, when you're playing a North Carolina team and with their speed, we haven't been the best in those situations. And they came in the game. They didn't shoot the ball great from 3-point range, but obviously they shot it great tonight. So I thought wanted to try to see what we can do and try to kind of neutralize the guys from putting pressure and getting in the lane as much. So again, we had some mixed results. I thought the first half it was better. The second half it had its moments. It got us back into the game, but towards the stretch in those possessions when we need to get the rebounds, we didn't get them. We got screened on a screen in the corner that gave up some threes. Gave up a three. That was a big one. But overall, we had to try to keep them off balance a little bit.
The reason Jair didn't play much of this?
No reason. I thought Peter came out there. I thought Peter gave me everything he had. I thought Peter, did a really good job in short roll basketball. And that's what we were in today. I thought he did a good job of getting the ball out, getting it to the shooters, screening, just kind of doing all of the stuff that you need to do to win. Jair, he just, today, again, he scored some points, but he just didn't have it defensively. I thought, Peter gave us the better shot today.
Coach, you kept JJ in for a few minutes after you picked up that second foul. What made you decide to take him out? Were they exploiting him?
No, I stole a couple of minutes and we went zone. I knew I was going to go zone with him. So I thought I could try to, because the game was still he was kind of getting in a flow, I thought. And so I wanted to steal a couple of minutes, which we did, playing the zone, and then we got him out. And then, we made it through the first half. But, I've done that in the past before, with guys, kind of trust them. And I knew we were going to go to zone. And so I knew he wouldn't be in those situations as much to pick up that third foul.
Coach, just 14 threes, one in the second half of your team, on the other side 13 for Carolina. Was it a game plan thing behind the arc or anything else?
A game for who?
For not shooting in the second half threes?
Well, I thought we got a lot of stuff that we needed to get. we were attacking the rim. We got to the free throw line 22 times. I just thought, we had a good flow of getting the shots that we wanted. We just didn't get the stops. We scored 82 points, probably, 78, instead of the last couple of them. But I just thought, we did a really good job of getting to the rim and putting pressure on the rim. The threes that we took, they were good shots, but I'm not trying to just force up threes. Again, I thought JJ and JC and Eddie and Peter, those guys, they did a good job playing in that short roll. We made the right decisions. Again, points, and to be honest with you, points haven't been the problem for us this year. The points haven't been the problem. The other problems have been, whether it's turnovers or rebounding, things like that. But points have not been the problem this year.
Second half, is he hurt?
No, he's not hurt. My decision.
You guys are holding on to one of the final spots in this tournament, 5 games to play. Just what regarding that?
We're just trying to win the next game. We don't get too ahead of ourselves. We just try to win the next game, prepare each game, and when it's over with, we'll deal with that. But we're gonna go ahead tomorrow, get ourselves ready. We'll review the tape. I'll figure out what I need to do better. Our coaching staff needs to do better. What everyone needs to do better, and put the work in and get ready to prepare and try to go down to Pittsburgh.
So in the second half, when you had that even there, they didn't really test the middle. He came out, they hit 10 points. So you said the decision of taking that out of the second.
Well, I thought Naheem did a serviceable job. He did okay, but they on the other end they started pushing up, and we started getting the ball in short rolls a little bit further out. So at that point, I thought, him and Eddie, he got the ball out, and Peter, they got the ball out. They had to dribble and make some decisions because they started really corralling, putting pressure, pushing out on JJ and JC on those ball screens, which was okay. That's what we wanted, but we wanted to play in the short roll. Again, I thought the zone was good. I thought that Naheem did a good job, but Eddie's our guy, and I just went with him.
Time for one more. Coach Eddie was awesome at Miami, awesome today. Really, he's taken his games to another level here. I know you said there's no moral victories, but it seems like he's taken his competitive spirit to another level. What can you say about how he's been a leader these last games?
Eddie's a guy that he gives you everything he has. He prepares. He comes every day. He shows up. He works. Again, he had some issues earlier, for a good middle part of the season, but he kept working. And I think right now, the last couple of 2 or 3 weeks, he's feeling a lot better. He's moving better. Obviously he's playing better, but he's a guy that plays with a sense of urgency. He's ferocious. He goes after everything. He gives you everything he has.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Red Autry's full post-game press conference live after every home game, brought to you by RomanoCars.com. Rolling along on our Cuse Sports Talk exclusive post-game show. That's why we have the Labatt sign, because we can turn on that neon when we're going exclusive here after the game. Lipton Hard Iced Tea, that too. Great stuff. All right, phone lines open, 315-437-7644. We'll hang out with the chat on the phones for a little while longer here tonight. Looks like we got a call. Let's bring in Jake from Ithaca. Hey, Jake.
Hey, Brian. Thanks for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong with this. The last time Syracuse's win percentage was statistically this bad was 1968-69 when they were 9-17 that season.
Sounds about, without looking it up, that sounds close enough to right. Yep.
That's before human beings set foot on the moon. And that's how bad things are right here.
Yeah.
Maybe we're all just insane because I keep watching this basketball team, expecting maybe a win or at least some level of improvement. And free throws, okay, I'll give you that. But doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. And we've all just gone crazy here in Syracuse. Maybe it's the snow or maybe it's the team. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, thank you, Jake. Yes, and hey, we show up and we watch every single night, and I think that's the most frustrating part about this year is, like, when you have a team that's not good enough, like this one is, that like you got to max it out to win a game, and it's hard to do that. Like last year's team, talent level slightly higher. Judah, better player than anyone on this year's team, combined with JJ. Like you had some firepower. So at least like go back to last year and think about they were playing this slow basketball. And you had Naheem, then Naheem got hurt, and you had to speed it up. You at least had different ways to go about it. This year it's just like yeah, and let's hope it works today. Let's hope it works today, and then it very often doesn't work today, or at least not for enough minutes. That's the main problem. Is it's really hard for this to work for 40 minutes. Really hard for this to work for 40 minutes. Q Sports Nora says he'd be 3-0 if he coached 3 games. All right. So your calls if you'd like, 315-437-7644. We'll continue to hang out in the chat. YouTube. Twitch. Waka Waka has definitely lost his mind. I think we've all lost our mind a little bit, especially like to Jake's point with the weather, with all this stuff. Like we get it. Winter in Central New York, not always ideal. Basketball during winter in Central New York is kind of what for many, many years kept us all sane. So now we're having this year the worst winter that we've had in a handful of years and the worst basketball season that we've all had in our lifetimes. The combination of the two, not ideal. Not ideal, the combination of those two things. I think it was a little nicer out. We'd just, not that we wouldn't care that it was going bad, but you'd have other things to do. But now it's like, hey, it's snowing. We got to scrape off the car. The team stinks. And it's, like none of it's great. All right, let's go back to the phones. Who is called here? We got Sean in Cicero. Hey, Sean.
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's up?
Not much. I'm just, I enjoy SU sports so much, from football, basketball, lacrosse. I'm so happy the lacrosse team is doing what they're doing. But to get back to the game, I just love J.D. Starlin's push, his heart, how hard he wants to play. If you can get another couple players to play like Eddie Lampkin, he's playing so hard right now.
Mm-hmm.
The beginning of the season, it was killing me to watch him because his back was hurt or whatever. But man, I'm not like these other people that watch the game as a fan and go, shoot, here we go again. I watch it and I'm pumped, dude. We're down by 11 points, and I'm like, here we go. Mm-hmm. My brother is next to me, and I'm like, here we go, let's go. And boom, down by 6. I go, here we go. We got a chance. Boom. And then, we met that 1 3-pointer. I'm like, oh, goodness. I think we just lost it. And he looks at me and goes, pumps his hand down, and he says, calm down. We'll see. Man, I don't understand how the heartbeat of Syracuse isn't with the orange. It's you know what I mean? It's so hard to watch games and not feel that passion. And I hear these other people calling in, and it's not, to me, it's not Red's fault. I think that Red is coaching the team. I just think the team isn't performing. It just kills me when I'm watching someone drive through the lane and Lampkin backs off to block out instead of stepping in front of that defender.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand. It kills me, but I'm still cheering for him. I love it. I don't care if they lose every game, just like football. The last couple of years, it's so hard to watch the games. But guess what? Every second I'm standing on the edge of my tippy toes going, oh, they can do this. So for the people who are fans of Syracuse sports, I'm 50 years old. I've been watching this team. I was overseas. I was in the West. And I got to watch some, Syracuse get to the Final Four while I was out there in 96, 97 era. And I just can't believe that I understand the frustration, but come on. And I'm not saying they've given up on their team, but come on, man. You got to call in and inspire these kids. Let them know, hey, because I'm sure they hear this. I mean, come on. You guys do an awesome job. I mean, I listen to you guys from 12 till 6 at night. I love what you guys do, but I just can't stand when people call in and they've got to criticize every little thing. These guys are young, amateur athletes that are trying their best to do their job. And I love listening to you, man. You get me from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. We like a fan. We like the sound effects as well. There we are. Sean in Cicero. That's more sound effects than we normally get. And yeah, I know, like us in the chat here, we nitpick every little thing. It's what we do. But I think there is a large part of the fan base that just wants to watch the game and hope they win. Oh man. It would be, yeah. And to your point, Ferdy fella Ferdy, fella Ferda. Yeah. I think that's a significant part of it too. With the change to NIL, it's a lot easier to start throwing booze at college kids when you know they're making more money than you. It's a lot easier to start booing college kids when you know for a fact they're making more money than you. It's just like, oh man, like let it go, because it's just like when all these kids are making all that money, you're like, wait a minute, and then they're acting like college kids. Yeah, it's something. Hey, we got to go for both sides of the anger level, the post-game level. Is somebody calling in here? We got somebody's call that's coming through here shortly. 315-437-7644 they're making a lot of money. Whatever the numbers actually are for Lampkin, 600, 700, whatever it is, that's a good chunk of change. That's a good chunk of change to be making. I know this. My paycheck. I don't know. I don't know about you, but my paycheck is not quite at that level of 600 or 700 large. Eddie's playing well now, but think of all the crap we were giving Eddie a month or two ago. Think of all that. It's a wild scene. It's a wild scene because it's all so new. Like as recently as like 2 years ago, like none of this was even remotely possible. Do we have a call here? What am I looking at here? Behind the scenes of me looking at the call screener, trying to figure out if somebody wants to talk on the air. 315-437-7644. Empty seats do speak volumes. Brody. They do. And more realistically than anything, that you want to look at, would they make a change on red or when? What drives a decision like that? What, shakes to the core the people that make those decisions, a.k.a. going up to the Board of Trustees level kind of things where they have a lot going on that's even beyond like a John Wildhack level. That stuff is what that level notices. So, yeah, I mean, that's not. Yeah, it's very possible like this is the highest paid year of Eddie Lampkin's entire basketball career. Waka waka. What do we have? Oh, it's Jake from Ithaca back for round two? Round two with Jake? What's up, Jake? Welcome back.
Hey, Brian, I apologize. I try to get my points in because I grew up in a military family and I tend to swear a lot, and I don't want to swear in the air. So, but
well, the good news is we're just hanging out on the internet tonight. So if any night you let it fly, Jake, tonight's the night.
You don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. But so I just want to respond to the last caller because I'm not some fair weather fan. I've been going to these games since I was a kid. My dad has been a season ticket holder since 1982. Mm-hmm. My father puts the D's up on the wall in 311 heaven. So I've gone to more games than most of the people even reporting on these games. So I'm not being criticizing of the kids. This is no longer amateur sports. And if I was going to criticize, I would criticize Autry for not subbing out Carlos when Lampkin hit that free throw at the end. That's when he should have taken him out, putting JJ and Tyler at the top of the zone. Like, that's that's a criticism. The coaching's terrible, and the kids coming in next year, I would tell them to go to Siena because they have a way better coaching staff than Syracuse basketball does. Thanks for taking my call.
All right. Jake again, round 2. Again, we've been around the block with the Jerry stuff. I love Jerry. Their record's basically the same. I haven't checked in the last few days, but Siena's doing about as well as Syracuse is. I love Jerry. We all love Jerry. But, yeah, well, I'd say, like, by next year, well, we're going to have enough points of evidence to know where the issues are, right? Because, hey, they won 20 games last year. I know they missed the tournament. This year's a disaster fest. Like, what's the difference? Like, last year's team was more talented than this year's team. Is that just NIL? Is that just recruiting? Is it all on red? Maybe. Like, I don't know if there's been, looking forward to, there's more games left in the season. What are there? 5 more games left in the season? The portal's going to open in, what is it, the 24th? Something like the 27th? I don't know. The portal's going to open in about 5 weeks. What they do in the portal this offseason is about as important as anything in the recent history of Syracuse basketball vis-a-vis Red's future. Because, Sadiq White, Kyan Anthony, I'm sure they're great, but they'll be freshmen. Will Donnie be back? I don't know. Will Chapel be back? JJ, whatever. If you have all of them back and you make like the 2 or 3 right moves in the portal, you could have a good basketball team. And if you don't, or if you don't have the resources or whatever, you could make a disaster and have a mess, and then, all right, there's that. It's going to be extremely important this year. And, to fella Ferda's point, hopefully Alex Klein. Like, Alex Klein was not, when we were talking to Griff about this on Wednesday, about, like, Alex, it sounds like, what's the GM's role? What's the GM doing? It sounds like what Alex is doing for a lot of the days these days is, like, scouring film of guys that might be in the portal. Like, getting ready to go for guys that might be in the portal to go attack that quickly next year. So we'll see how that all works. And who knows? I don't know. Is Alex doing a good job or not? I haven't the foggiest, but we'll find out. Or at least find out if the names the Orange are involved in, and then if they are involved with the guys that seem to be the right guys, and then they don't get those guys, I think that's when you know that, this is an NIL situation at that point. Or Donnie could leave, and Choppa could leave, and JJ could leave, and it could be a complete mess. I have no idea. Like, the next, once the season ends, it's going to be a fascinating, like, we've been doing the same thing every day for like a month and a half now, and we will for a few more weeks. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. When the season ends, everything is going to change every single day for like 6 straight weeks. Everything will change every day for 6 straight weeks. We've been doing the same thing. And we will continue to do the same thing because nothing has changed with this basketball team. When the season ends, we're going to find out what's going to change because that's a rubber meets the road part for the significant future of Syracuse basketball. I think like this next calendar year, going from end of Feb this year to end of Feb next year, is stunningly important. Stunningly important. Yeah, it sounds like it, Waka Waka. That's what Griff told us on the show on Wednesday. That said, all right, so in theory you'll be well prepared when the portal opens. Okay, that's great. Now, if you go in, do you then have the resources to get the guys you want? Because you're not going to magically be the only one that knows about some of this stuff. So do you then have the resources to get the guys that you want when it comes to the portal? I don't know. Like, it felt like last year, as well as Eddie is playing now, it felt like they were so all in on Eddie from the start. It really, like, that factored in how the whole portal experience played out, led to all the money going there. It led to Carlos, right? Like, connect the dots. It led directly to Jaquan Carlos. Donnie had his surgery yesterday, Zach. It is said that things went well. Somebody on the line here? What do we have? Yeah, a cap would be fun for fella Ferda. Your name is hard to say. Fella Ferda. Say it 5 times fast. But that needs to be collectively bargained. Like there'd be a lot of legal loopholes to jump through to do that. Tusi, how many minutes did Jaquan play today? Carlos played 32 minutes today, and I'm sure you enjoyed each and every one of them, Tusi. All right, is somebody on the line? We're gonna just who's here? Somebody here? Nobody's here. We got Easy and Utica. All right, let's go to Utica. Easy, what's up, man?
So, I like Coach Red. I'd like to see him here for the next 30 years. I think he can be a great recruiter. His guys play their hearts out for him. He's a stand-up guy, but his decision-making, player personnel on the court all year has been horrific. I could spend the next hour, I think, but let's look at a critical point today's game. So, second half, we're losing by 7. It's time to rest Eddie. Bring in the big guy, McLeod.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, the zone is like the defensive force of the last 10 years. 5 possessions in a row, North Carolina could not get off a good shot late in the shot clock. The 5th possession, there was a questionable call on McLeod. It was a bad shot, a difficult shot, questionable call. North Carolina scored 2. So in that position, we actually tied. In those few minutes that Eddie was in, we went from a 7-point deficit to a tie game, and then on that questionable call, we were back down by 2.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, Red is oblivious to this. That the entire defensive structure of the game for North Carolina has changed. They're no longer rolling along easily. They're stymied, and they were stymied during that section. I would beg, if you can, to find that brief 4-minute section and watch it, and watch how the game just turned. So, Red says, he's been saying all year, points aren't the problem. It's defense. Well, all of a sudden, we had a great defensive structure going, and it's happened several times when McLeod has come in. Our guys play matador defense. They do it all year. Guys, Jaquan, Carlos, JJ, guys just fly by them and shoot up layups. Doesn't work when McLeod's in the game. He's a force there. I've seen it all year. The few minutes that he's in, guys blowing past our defenders to get to the basket. They don't know what to do. So I don't know why Red can't see this. He says that Eddie is our man, but no, Eddie can't play defense. He's horrific. He's been great on offense, but if defense is the problem, you got to give McLeod more minutes. I'm not saying bench Eddie, but McLeod should have definitely not been subbed out at that point. And earlier games in the year, same thing. He changed the tenor of the games. He's just a force there. For Red not to see that, just to think offense, that's just a critical mistake that he's making. And, I could talk about other situations. Carlos is getting way too much playing time. It took him too long to remove him as a starter. And, lo and behold, when the kid started coming off the bench, he actually improved.
Mm-hmm.
But he still doesn't deserve all that time. And, of course, he's a horrible defensive player. And I don't know why he's out there. Red wants a point guard. He talked about earlier in the year, this man is a true point guard. You could see how much he was relying on him. But the kid is just, Carlos is just, he was just way overrated by Red. And look at this game. What I saw was JJ controlling the ball when Carlos was in. He wasn't really handling the ball at all. He wasn't doing anything with it. He wasn't dishing. So why have him in the game? He's just a load. If he's just, he gets the ball in a 3-point range, you really don't want him shooting. Just bad structure. And we'll go to another point today. Peter did not deserve 25 minutes. That was insane. I don't understand why Davis got pulled. He just hit a 3. He just buried his 3. Then they came down court. And his man buried his 3, but he was there. He was there on the play. Red got upset and yanked him, and that was it. He sat the bench. He was there. I don't know why Red got so angry with him. But Peter just did not play well today. I didn't think, but Red felt he had a great game somehow. I didn't see it. Foolish fouls. I don't know. I don't know what Red's seeing. I'm not seeing what Red's seeing. Maybe the TV view is a better view than the sitting courtside, but I just think, I love the guy. I love Red. Love to see him here forever. He's got potential. I'm definitely not calling for his head, but he needs some help when it comes to decision making, just really poor.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of room for him to grow as a first-time head coach. To your point, easy on McLeod. He came in. Let's see. He came in with 12:28 to go in the game. It was 60-52. North Carolina was leading. That foul you talked about happened with 9:47, so he was in for like 2 minutes and 45 seconds, and by that point, after that foul, it's a 1-point game. So yeah, they wanted a nice run with him in the game at that point, and yeah, you think you'd let it.
In my opinion, it was all because of his defensive presence.
Yeah.
Because North Carolina, they did not get a single. If anybody could go back and watch that, they did not get a single shot. Our guys were worried about getting blown by, which they always are getting blown. But we didn't have to worry about it because they blow by them, and he's back there. So consequently, they're on the 3-point shooters. Mm-hmm. They're covering it. They're flying around the court, our other 4 players. I don't know if they had confidence in him or what happened there, but it was like complete turnaround. It's happened in past games. It's not the first time. He's come in. He's been a presence. Guys have blown by our man. They go to get a layup and back it out, back the ball out, which would have been easy layups against Eddie. Because Eddie just can't play defense. He's the slowest guy in the world. And why in God's name? I mean, that last game against Miami, when he fouled up that play, didn't foul the guy. Why was he in the game? He's the slowest man in the ACC. No reason to have him on the court in that game. Just absurd. Of course, it wasn't Red told him to foul. It wasn't Red's fault that he didn't foul. But he's too slow. He lumbers. Even if he knew the play, he probably wouldn't have got there in time to foul. We got quicker, better defensive players. You need quick guys on the court in that game. You don't need a stopper inside. Makes no sense, Red's decisions. Poor.
Yeah, I think I think a main issue here is that there's so many players on this year's team that can't do both aspects of what they need to do. It's like, all right, Naheem good at defense, Eddie good at offense. Well, and then you look at like some of the other positions. There's so many of them that there's so few guys on this team that could, like today. Red said at postgame, he's like he said specifically the reason Jair didn't play as much is because he did not like his defense today. He said he didn't have it today on defense, and that's why Majstorovic was in. So one good on O, one good on D, and it's just hard to put when you don't have two-way players, man. It's hard to put 5 on the floor.
I'll go back to that play. I did not see bad defense by Davis on that play. He was there. The guy just hit the 3. But the point is, Eddie's got to get his minutes. You're not going to bench him, but the game was going the way you wanted to go. So keep Naheem on the court until maybe North Carolina's going to figure it out. Maybe something's going to happen where they're going to figure out what we can do other things than where we don't have to worry about Naheem, and they're going to start scoring. Then you bring Eddie back in the game for his offense. When it's going good, it just doesn't make sense what Red's doing. I mean, you just can't say Eddie's our man and not see what's going on in the court. No, things are happening for us. Red, come on. Yeah, but he just made too many foolish mistakes. Too often having Carlos in the game when defense is imperative. He's not understanding what a guy can give and what he can't give. So if you want offense, if you want a playmaker, you want him on the court. When JJ's handling the ball, no purpose for him out there. Yep. 32 minutes today was absurd for Carlos. It's just ridiculous. Maybe 15, 18. Peter, 25 minutes, maybe 12. Yeah, you got to be. His judgment is terrible. I think just very disappointing. I hate to watch the team for the next few years when he just makes silly mistakes like this. But what are you going to do? We're Syracuse fans. Hopefully, he'll improve with age. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Hopefully. Thanks for the call, Easy. There's our guy, Easy in Utica. I don't know. I just think I look at the roster here, and I do agree that I think Red's in-game roster management is suspect. Is that a nice way to put it? That said, when you look at the roster here, there's not a lot of complete players on it and what's strange about the McLeod thing today is I feel Red makes a lot of his roster who's on the court decisions based on something bad that happened on defense. Which is, I guess, kind of weird why McLeod would have then come out of the game then. Because to Easy's point, like that little stretch of the game when the Orange came back, game looked like it was over. McLeod comes in. The zone, we went in a time machine there for like 3 minutes of basketball. And there we are. For the the Davis Mastorovich stuff. I mean, Red said it right, wrong, or otherwise. Red very specifically said in his postgame today, it's like the reason the minutes shook out that way is because he liked what Mastorovich was doing on defense and did not like what Jair was doing on defense. Now, Jair had 9 points in 15 minutes. So, yeah, I don't know. What's the right answer to that? It's just, you don't have enough guys. Like, and then we get a picture put up, like two guys that were sitting next to each other at the game today. Elijah Hughes and Tyus Battle. Like, you'd cut off your pinky, your whole hand to get those two on the court today. You'd lop it off in a second and get those two out there. Man. Like, and those are dudes. Those are some dudes that had a career now. It's just one of these things where you look at the roster, you see those guys sitting there, and you're like, this ain't that. It's not that. And can it be that again? Sure. But it can't be that again in the next 3 weeks. That I know. It's tough, all right. Because, well, you'd like to, there's so many offense-defense decisions you can make, and I think Red has screwed up some of that stuff end of games where you can easily go back and forth because there's so many stoppages. In the middle of games, it's like, okay, there's not a lot of good answers. But if we could get Tyus Battle back out there. He's got another year left, right? Yeah, toss him out there. Give him a COVID year. Hughes, his last season got cut short. He won his last game. Elijah, he went out with a win against North Carolina. Yeah, let him play. Do you imagine how much better those two would be than everybody else on the court today if they were out there? It'd be shocking. It would be shocking. All right, last few minutes hanging out together today. Still time for another call if you'd like here at 315-437-7644. Oh, man. What's next? Pitt? Pitt's next. Pitt beat Miami today. Syracuse is now. Let's give a little standings refresh. Quick little standings refresh. Do we need to be terrified about anything in the standings refresh? What else is going on at this o'clock in the ACC? Is everything done? Everything's done today? Everything's done today. All right, ACC standings. Thank you, Cuse Sports Knower. I feel the sincerity. Syracuse is tied with Cal, 5-10 in the league at 4. They're tied for 14th and 15th, a.k.a. the last two teams in the tournament, the ACC tournament. NC State beat BC today. They're 3-11 in the league. So the Orange are a game and a half up on the last spot out of the ACC tournament. They play NC State in, a week and a half? Oh, man. That game's kind of important. That game's kind of important. For all the wrong reasons, but, man, it's kind of important. Oh, man. This is what we're with right now. Virginia won earlier today. They're up to 6 wins. Like, if you get to 6, you'll be fine. Oh, my God. If you go 6-14 in the league, you'll be absolutely fine. Is the NC State game like a week from Wednesday? Do I have my schedule correct in my noggin? Q Sports Knower is going to call in if Syracuse loses to NC State. The phone lines will be open for you, Q Sports Knower. You're correct, Avendo. This is not the conversations we like having. Let's pull up the remaining schedule. Loading. Load faster. Carlos sits, McLeod plays more. I don't know if that's a one-for-one solution there, Aaron. Like, McLeod is also a guy that has diminishing returns after about 10, 12 minutes a game. Like, he's been playing well recently, but let's not try to put Naheem out there for 25 minutes. Yeah, NC State's Wednesday, February 26th in the Dome. Second to last Dome game of the year. That suddenly is like a potentially stunningly very, very important game to avoid the embarrassment of missing the ACC tournament. All right, does NC State have another win on their schedule besides that coming up? They're at Carolina versus Wake, at Syracuse, at Georgia Tech versus Pitt, at Miami. All right, they got a couple of chances for wins. Georgia Tech, Miami, yeah. If they beat Cuse and win one of those other games and Syracuse just tanks it, loses out, then they'll be in trouble. So there we are. Yeah. McLeod, Lampkin, Vitar, Davis, Taylor. Just put them all out there. Just be big. The bigger, the better. The bigger, the better. Do you mean like kids, Coach D, or student section? Like kids or student section? What do you mean? Yeah, why is that pickleball thing existing, Kev? What's up with that? Steffi and Andre are playing pickleball against Jeannie Bouchard and Andy Roddick? The heck? Do I need to get on this pickleball fad? Do I need to be pickleballing? Maybe so. I might need to be pickleballing. Kids. Yeah, I agree. Students should go to the games. What else are you doing? Go to the game. You pregame it, you go to the game, it's 9 o'clock, you got your Saturday night. Come on, go to the game. Yes, Kev, that replaced the trampoline park that we used to go to. That is not an incorrect thought, Coach D. All right, anything else? We've been hanging for an hour here. I feel like we've put in a solid day's work. All right, enjoy your night. Don't skid off the road with whatever snow's about to happen or icy goo in the morning. It's Monday, President's Day. We'll be here. You know where to find us. We'll be here on Monday. Baton and Devo 11. Orange Nation at noon. Newhouse at 2. Cody, I think, will be here at 3. I'll be here at 4. We'll yap about something. Coach Jack, she'll be with me on Monday. Big game for the women tomorrow against Cal out on the left coast. All right. See you all later. Thanks for tuning in to Cuse Sports Talk.